fortunate to present this study on behalf of Dr. Mirza Khan and Dr. Milur Brandt, who've been the key leads of this network study. This really stemmed out from the phenotype February um, evaluations last year on defining STEMI, and both Mirza and Milu have taken the lead in kind of creating a network package around this. So I'm presenting on their behalf. I think Milu's on the call, so there is any specific questions. We have Milu on the call, as well as a forum thread online where we'll be able to answer any questions. So a quick background. This really stemmed from the need to better understand and characterize STEMI across the population. Just from a purely epi perspective, there are about 17.9 million people who died from CVDs, out of which 32%, they account for about 32% of the global deaths. Of these deaths, 85% are due to acute MI. So if you really look at US alone, there's one American who suffers from an AMI every 40 seconds. But as we get down to the definition of what a STEMI is, which is an acute ST elevation MI, it's a mix of both diagnoses as well as a clinical biomarker, as well as potentially having a very specific ECG elevation as well. So it's not just a simple diagnostic evaluation. So the rationale of kind of putting this study together was to one, understand the actual need to define what an acute STEMI case is, and how accurate those definitions are depending on the data source as well, but also to understand if we have different definitions of acute STEMI across different databases, what are the characteristics of these patients, and how can we define incidence rates of these patients across around the world. This not only allows us to understand how best to characterize these patients, but also gives us an understanding of resource allocations and providing a large-scale review on for campaigns to improve recognition of heart attacks, as well as the need to potentially change definitions or bring definitions up to speed. So the research questions are pretty straightforward. It's, like I said, characterizations of patients with acute STEMI and understand the incidence rates of patients with acute STEMI. Next screen, yeah. The design, again, is straightforward. It's a retrospective study that really looks at claims registries and EHR data set. It's an adult population who had an acute STEMI diagnosis or definition based on the phenotype package that we have. The study was spans from 2016 onwards. The design itself is pretty straightforward. It's anyone who's been seen in a hospital or an ED with that event and having an ECG at the time of the event, or a specific procedure code. Currently, Milu has been working extensively on using the Odyssey strategic framework and using two existing packages. And we're really looking at the cohort diagnostic module here just to better characterize all these patients that we have. Currently, in the launch that we had about 3 months ago, these are the partners that we've included. So we have 3 US partners, Columbia, University of Washington, and our internal IQVIA resources. We've had interest from Israel and quite a few partners in the APAC region as well. What we're going through right now is really working with these partners to assess feasibility and viability of these resources as we go forward. And our timeline has changed slightly, but we're consistently adding more partners as well. But the goal is to start evaluating these partners and sending them the packages as is by June, and try to use the summer, not June, I guess June, July, August, to present these results, with the idea of having maybe initial abstract with whoever can send us results by June, and then having a manuscript drafted over the summer and early fall. The goal, again, is to work with partners who have data available, but we're always looking to expand partnerships and have additional explorations as we go forward. So this isn't a timeline that's set in stone. It's basically to help us keep moving forward and not always be stuck at the point of doing an early feasibility. The goal is, again, to have at least a poster in the global symposium, but with the active interest amongst the APAC partners, we're looking to have a poster or even a talk for the APAC symposium coming up. If you're interested, like I said, there is an open forum thread where we have the active discussions. There's also a GitHub protocol with the feasibility package that you can download and assess if your database is a viable source for the study.